All right, Yellowjackets, season 3, episode 8, A Normal Boring Life, which is what all of these characters clearly have.
No, they do not.
No?
They do not have normal, boring lives.
No, but you know who does?
Melissa.
Melissa.
Yes.
She is finally here. We've got our Hillary Swank.
Yep.
We had theorized and suspected maybe it was a misdirect, but nope. It was just Melissa all along.
Yeah.
It was Melissa all along. Yeah, I mean, this is all what we suspected.
Yeah.
But I thought maybe they weren't going to go in that direction.
Sure.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, there's always the chance.
Yeah.
But it makes sense, obviously.
Yeah, this is what we all suspected. But yeah, there she is. She's alive.
Yep.
From what I gathered, she faked her death.
Yes, she
after
left a
being
suicide note.
Saved.
Yeah.
So Melissa was one of the Yellowjackets that got rescued.
Yeah.
And then she killed herself, and lo and behold, went off and fell in love with the woman they killed's biological daughter.
Crazy.
Which she does not know about.
No, that would be wild. I mean, that would totally ruin your relationship, obviously.
Yeah.
To say the least. Yeah, she obviously, Shauna, this episode, like, she goes into the house and, like, witnesses Alex and their daughter and everything. And so that's, and she confronts Melissa. But Melissa kind of explains to her that she didn't mean to fall in love with her, or that she wasn't trying to do it in some kind of I think she says like a survivor's guilt or whatever.
Yeah.
But I definitely don't believe her. I think that's a crazy thing to do.
She does admit, though.
Oh, that it might not.
She's like, well, maybe it is. I don't know.
Yeah. But she cares about her. I do believe that she cares about her, of course. And like, she has a great life, and like, why would she want to do anything to jeopardize it? But it is like crazy to think that you're, because I feel like she kind of says too, like, she admits that she's sort of been comfortable for a while, but then started having dreams and stuff when she heard about Natalie's death. And remembered that she has the tape still. But I like, it would be so hard to go about your daily life, like, just knowing that you have this massive secret that would completely end any chance of happiness you really have with this person and this setup that you have. So I don't, she's able to apparently kind of look past that for a while at least. But
yeah, it would do irrevocable harm to their relationship.
Yes.
There's no, I mean, how could it not?
Right.
But do I believe that Melissa is in love with her? Yes, absolutely. I think she is the Yellowjacket that has come out the most unscathed as far as like how she's handled things. She seemingly has a pretty good life. Now, this, we've only had exposure to her for 5 minutes.
Sure.
Shauna looked like she had the hunky-dory life for the first 5 minutes we saw her in episode 1 when she was in the future.
Yeah.
And then she was murdering a rabbit in the yard and cooking it for them not a couple minutes later. So who knows what this chick is actually up to, and if she's lying to Shauna and she did provoke her, she did leave that tape. She is gaslighting her because Shauna gaslit her, so she's getting revenge on her and making her feel like she's crazy when she's not. And she does have these like good arguments when they're having that conversation, and she's like, so somebody left a cell phone behind with a popular song as a ringtone,
right? And
maybe your car's just old and whatnot. So I mean, she gives very valid arguments to the contrary of all of the accusations, and I'm totally on board with that. But at the same time, it could be the other thing, and so we're not going to know for a while. But I don't know where I lean. I she sold me. I'll say that Melissa, Hillary Swank as well, but the character of Melissa is a good actress.
Yes.
If she is actually gaslighting her, because I did believe her.
Yeah.
And, I think she at least thinks it's true to some degree. But, did she plant that stuff? Who did? Is it possible that we are still looking at that it isn't Melissa, that Melissa dropped off the tape, which set off the chain of events
right.
that led to Shauna's suspicious nature taking over and filling in these, these blanks with like, it's Melissa, it's somebody.
Well, and we know that there is a note, right? Because Callie takes the note and doesn't give it to her mom, right?
Yeah.
So like, because Melissa says, I explained why I dropped it off in the note.
Yeah.
And Shauna doesn't believe her, of course, but it's like, there was one.
There is, yeah.
So I think, I'm kind of leaning towards Melissa is likely telling the truth.
Yeah.
With everything. And Shauna is just like getting crazier and crazier. Like each episode, I feel like she's just going more and more off the deep end. Like I know we talk a lot about how like, and it happens too, like Ty being like, I'm gonna kill somebody for Van, which she does, try to do this episode. But with Ty, at least it's like we have the dark, like the evil Ty, the shadow Ty or whatever. Like we have this like split in her psyche that kind of explains her behavior a little bit. Whereas Shauna, as much as like she is traumatized and has all these issues, like it's still just like the one version of Shauna every time, And like what we see in the past, like her behavior, like deciding that she doesn't want to leave and everything, all of that, I just feel it's ramping up to something with her character. What that's going to be, I don't know. I mean, she kind of says it to Melissa where it's like the only way that you can be safe is if all of us are dead.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know, is she going to want to, she's potentially already killed Lottie, right? Like supposedly we have her DNA linked to Lottie. So it's like maybe she is going to go through and just start killing everybody, or trying to at least.
Yeah, I mean, I hate Shauna. I've never been a big fan of her. The first season, I was like, oh, she's an interesting character, and I like the actress. I have for many years, ever since like Heavenly Creature days. So I extended a bit more leniency towards her on her character, just because I'm familiar with her as an actress, and that character I was trying to, you know, trying to defend her with like, oh, they went through so much, and who knows how much this screwed her up. But as the series has went on, and especially in this third season, they have made her character just completely unrelatable. They have made her completely unsympathetic. I just genuinely have no sympathies for her at all anymore. I just outright hate her at this point. And I hope she dies. So I do think she is the true villain of the show. I think that it's setting all of the groundwork. Maybe a little too much is the problem, right? Where I think they're probably going to let her off the hook at some point, which I don't like. I rather they just commit to it. But if they want to try to like hoodwink us and flip it, and it's going to be Walter, who's been, the like
the big bad all along.
Well, I was gonna say like the puppet master, pulling
see.
the strings, and he's like, freaking Alex's brother or something, right? I think that's possible, or somebody else, right? But yeah, for me, it feels very clearly Shauna that killed Lottie, but maybe too clearly.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah.
If it wasn't a show, if it wasn't like they're gonna make twists happen,
right?
I'd be like, it's fucking
it's
Shauna.
her. But yeah, I understand. I think there's still quite a bit of, obviously, quite a bit of mystery around, whatever the entity in the forest is, and whether it's real or not, and how that also might be influencing the events happening, obviously both in the past and the present. So yeah,
I didn't get a good look at Alex in this. I know we see her for a second, but I'm always taking notes and everything, and as soon as we see that they're together, I was like, oh, whatever. But she is clearly the woman in the the window that was closing at the end of the last episode. She looked young.
She did look young.
She looked young.
She did look
She looked too young to be that girl's teenage daughter, like teenage pregnancy daughter.
I mean, it's possible that what's her name? The the lady that stays there.
Hannah?
Hannah.
Wait,
Yeah, sorry. It's
her
possible.
mom?
Yeah.
Alex's mom? Yeah,
Yes,
Hannah.
it's possible that Hannah is younger than we were speculating last episode or last episode because I think we were kind of landing she's
I
like
guess.
30.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, look at that girl.
And then that would
She's
make
at
her
least in
15.
her 30s.
So, I don't know. No, I mean Hannah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That's what
like
I'm saying.
I don't know, but she could have been younger than what we're thinking. Like she could have been like mid 20s or something. So, and then if she
Why
had
not
a
cast an
like a
actress that
16,
looks
15-year old.
20?
Well,
Because
they
then
cast
she'd look,
Callie as like a
yeah,
freaking
then she'd
teenager
look
and she's
too,
30.
she'd look too,
They don't want her to look like
like the
one of
Yellow
the
Jackets.
Yellowjackets. Yeah, so she has to look a little bit older to show. That's my guess, but
Yeah.
I think we need to get a more like clearer look at Alex really to see, but
Yeah, that's fair.
anyway, yeah, all that stuff with Shauna and Melissa obviously. Shauna like freaks out and attacks her and then like bites off a piece of her arm and is like, you got to eat this or I'm going to tell your family. And it's just like she has lost it totally.
Yes, I mean, she never really had it.
She never really had it, but she kind of was trying to keep it together, I feel. But this is what I mean, like her like losing it. And then obviously in the past when she's like, her, Ty, and Lottie all decide to stay. And then she's like, no, like nobody's leaving. And it's like, what is happening? Like, what are you talking about?
Such a god complex.
So insane.
I hate her
so
much.
Insane. So,
but this does lead into my very favorite thing this season by far and away is Jeff finally coming to the realization and calling it out for anyone to hear that his wife is a fucking lunatic. He finally has his break.
Yeah.
It was like, it was coming. I was hoping it was coming. It was a long time coming for me. I was just, because I like Jeff. I really like Jeff.
Yeah.
He's a good guy.
Yeah.
And he's put up with her shit long enough. And this finally broke him. The conversations with Misty, the conversation with his daughter, the speculation, the phone calls, all of that stuff. And then he finally runs into those guys that he's trying to sell his furniture to.
Yeah.
And then he has his breakdown.
Yeah.
Like, and he goes out there and he just admits it. And Callie has her big smile. I had a big smile. I was like, yes, everyone's just dogpiling on Shauna.
Yeah, I think this is a really good progression for his character. And I think that it's also going to cause, a lot of problems where if he does try to stand up to Shauna, with this newfound kind of confidence and acceptance of the fact that his wife is psycho. I could see her killing him. I could totally see her
so bummed
killing him. Because I feel like we're taking her character in a direction where she's going to start being even more ruthless and kind of heartless. And truthfully, like part of that conversation with Melissa, where she's like, does your daughter know what you've done? And she was like, yes, she does. And then Melissa's like, does she still love you? And Shauna lies and says yes, because Callie doesn't still love her mom. I don't feel like does
Shauna believe that she does?
I don't think so. I think Shauna knows. I think Shauna knows that her daughter is like, I'm not a fan of mom.
Yeah.
That's my feeling. But anyway, yeah, I'm glad Jeff stood up for himself. I thought everything with him and Callie this episode was pretty good, and I liked it all.
Yeah, I mean, because you not only get you get that, but you also get it alongside of Melissa calling out Shauna for all her bullshit at the same time. So as I said, everyone's dogpiling on Shauna in that moment where it's like going to them at the table and she's like, calling her out for what she was in the past, what she is now, and then Jeff behind her back telling everyone, including her their daughter, in front of her that she's a crazy bitch and he's done with her shit.
Yeah.
Great. That made me so happy. That was the happiest I've been this entire season. Was just like, yes, thank you, finally.
I think it's really interesting that the three people that are saying that they don't want to leave and be rescued are kind of the three people, like, this episode we get Shauna having, stress dreams about being rescued and then having to work some dead-end job that she doesn't like, and kind of the mundane, boring normal life, right, which is like kind of, it's unappealing to her, whereas in the forest and the wilderness, she's a leader,
Yeah.
you know, she has all this like freedom and everything. And then the same thing with Ty, where Ty has this, you know, for lack of a better word, the split personality thing going on, where, you know, a rational side of her does realize like it's like, you know, her conversation with Dan of, we will like never be able to actually escape this place. Like it's going to be with us our whole lives, you know, even going home and getting rescued. Like what happened here isn't something that's going to be gone from us, which is very true and very valid for her to worry about. And then the dark part of her clearly seems like they want to stay. And then you have Lottie, who from the beginning has been like, this is our little, you know, this is where we belong, blah, 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 blah. So I just think it's very interesting that those are the three that, you know, in the past are like staying there, and then kind of where they're at now in the present. Because I do think Shauna, you know, however they do end up getting rescued, I think that she ultimately wants to still be back there.
It's funny that they got to this place later, but are in the same place Misty was once, right? Like we had this kind of villainous feel towards Misty's actions when she destroyed the black box and made them stay there. Now, would they have become the people they are now had Misty not done that? Had they been able to be recovered very quickly? No. So Misty is, unfortunately, responsible for what ends up happening to everybody. But once rescue is an option, they still stick to their guns here and are going to be committed to being these terrible people. Like this is what they're staying for a multitude of reasons. But one of the reasons, of course, being is they, you know, they can't really cope with what they've done back in the real world. So what is going to happen here? I mean, this is pretty obvious. Cody is going to be killed. Now, who he will be killed by, I'm assuming some radical that is influenced by Lottie, Ty, and Shauna's decision to stay. Maybe someone with a gun like Akila. Who just shoots him because they can't get along and they can't make a decision. So like, they make the decision for him. That being said, Shauna is the one that's like, you're not going anywhere. And she seems to be the one that wants to like put the stamp on.
And she's also told Melissa, like, I'm still not ruling out killing him for shooting you.
Sure. And which Melissa smiles because she's, you know, crazy about her. But I have a feeling this is going to come down to the battle between Natalie and Shauna. And ultimately what will happen is Cody will get killed because he's the only way out. So that will resolve that issue, but this is going to create that chasm, that complete disconnected rift between one side versus the other side. And this will be something that probably led to what happens with, I mean, Travis kills himself. So it is possible that Travis, I don't know why he would do it, because he is so ready to get the hell out of there. In fact, he doesn't even want to take any of them with him. He's just going to be him, Akila, and this guy are going to go off and do this. But I mean, let's call this out for what it really is, though. They're all shit, right? Because they all plan, most of them anyways, plan on killing Cody and Hannah.
Well, yeah, I mean,
as soon as they are being rescued.
Yes, they literally, you know, Misty is like, what are we going to do? Like, they're going to talk. And of course, Cody and Hannah are like, nope, like, we won't say nothing. We didn't see anything. Do I think they wouldn't?
Believe Cody.
I believe Cody for sure. I think Cody's like, no, I won't say anything. Like, I literally didn't see anything. Hannah probably wouldn't say anything.
I think she'll talk eventually.
But eventually she might. But anyway, like, yeah, like the fact that that's like kind of hanging over them, where it's like, okay, even if you rescue us, we're still probably gonna have to kill you, is horrible. And I think that Travis, like, you know, he admits to Akila this episode, like, it's all fake, like, you know, it's a lie. I just said this and you're huffing gas and I'm taking mushrooms. And I'm really glad that he's addressing that, because that's 100% you know, true, that is, those things are influencing them in some way. Now, obviously, cultures for thousands of years, you know, people use hallucinogenic like substances for spiritual purposes, right? So it is like, who's to say whether or not they're tapping into something? Like, of course that's possible, especially in the context of a show like this. And it is one of the reasons why the show's so great, because you have both sides to look at, where you can be like, it's the drugs, or maybe the drugs are a gateway to them, to this other level of reality that they're seeing stuff in.
If you're ever hearing any voices in your head, no matter what drugs you're on, no matter what you're ever doing, and they're telling you to kill people,
yeah, those are usually bad.
It's a bad
voices
sign
to listen to. Though,
don't listen to that voice.
Yes.
Okay.
Don't listen
to
anybody telling you to kill stuff.
Even if it's God himself.
Yeah.
Even if it's God himself.
Supposedly he's been known to do.
Is contacting you and telling you to murder people.
Yeah.
I'm gonna decline.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think
I'm not gonna trust the voice in my head that tells me to kill people for no reason. Right? If I actually bought into the fact that someone was a genuine threat to innocent people,
yeah,
then I would probably do something. Then again, if I'm hearing voices in my head that are telling me to kill, I'm just going to tell you outright right now, I'm going to check myself into a psych ward. But putting all that aside.
Yeah.
I was going to say something and now I'm
sorry.
kind of forgetting where
we were talking about go. Travis.
Oh, I was going to say I was going to say a couple things, but one of them for sure being that one of the more unbelievable things in the entire show, and I said it multiple times while we were watching this episode, and I said it last episode too, but especially this episode. We have a survivalist, a fully confident male dominant figure in the presence of children.
Yeah.
Who he has two of them holding weapons they have no idea how to fucking actually use. Not really. And this guy's a survivalist. The fact he couldn't take Travis and Akila down when they have their like weapons down and they're talking and they're totally distracted is outright absurd to me.
Okay, I think that's fair, but I also think a couple things. One, he's already seen that they've at least killed one grown man. So okay,
him.
Yeah,
but they stabbed him in the head.
He doesn't.
Sorry, from behind.
Okay, no, but I'm even talking about Coach Scott. Like they see his head.
Oh, sure.
So two men, technically, right? My point is, I think that he could actually want to help them, like survive because they're kids and they were stranded in the wilderness.
Kids who are murdering people and holding them hostage. But I'm just
saying, like there's that chance, right? That he's like he does maybe some part of him.
Does that guy really come off to you like that?
I don't know. The second part is that he could also just be trying to play it safe because there are technically more of them. Could he probably take out a lot of them? Yes, but there are more of them, and they're clearly feral. So it's like it would be like it's just like they're dangerous. They've proven that they're dangerous. Like they've
proven that they're insane. That
they're very dangerous.
I agree with you there.
They've killed two people that he knows of, and I think that he's trying to be as cautious as possible. I do think he will end up killing maybe one or two of them at some point. Like that, if there's like a struggle of some kind, I could see that happening, like him killing people.
I don't think so. I think he'll be killed kind of out of nowhere. He doesn't even have a chance to react.
Yeah.
But that's my opinion. I have no idea. That's my guess. But yeah, no, I'm sorry. I'm just not buying it. I'm not buying that he couldn't easily take out Travis and Akila when they're distracted and whatever. But whatever. It's for the show. It is what it is. To make him some gruff mountain man survivor that can't take down two children. I
don't know. Maybe he
it's just too much for me to buy.
Maybe he's like such a survival man that he kind of respects the I don't know, the craziness of it or something, where he's like,
you are trying way too hard. I'm just
playing devil's advocate. That's all.
Not very well. All right. Anyway. Yeah, so we've got our people who want to stay. Now we've got them fantasizing about going home.
Yeah.
This just shows you the things you take for granted.
Oh yeah.
In your everyday life.
The bed, the toilet paper.
Misty with her toilet paper rubbing it on her face.
Yeah.
Just from the softness of it.
It's so soft, and I know that what's her face has like a Slurpee from or a slushie of some kind.
It's a Slurpee.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously that would be all you'd be thinking about if you're like, I'm going home, I get to get back into the civilization and all these, modern amenities that we have now. Yeah.
And as always, I've got to bring up the 90s things here. So number one, like, I think it's Van. Her very first question to Hannah is, do Mulder and Scully get together?
That was super cute. Funny.
I got news for you.
Oh my god.
They do not.
Oh my god.
At this point,
get together,
they're still in the 90s.
And then they don't get together. Oh yeah, in the 90s, they don't even get close to getting together.
No. They don't technically get together until the literal last episode of season 7. Yeah. And then the opening of season 8
they're not
is together. Mulder has like left and is on the run and they're not together anymore.
Yes. Yep.
They get together for 10 seconds.
Yes.
That's finally them like being like, this is, I realize like we got to be together basically.
But that's so cute because Van is this like film like TV nerd. Like she loves the
and
pop
she's also
culture.
like a hopeless romantic.
And she's a hopeless romantic, and I just think that's very cute. That's like what she's like, tell me.
But yeah, that was the big question, and so much so that they drug it out for to say way too long is a gross understatement. Like if you've ever watched a show where you're waiting for people to get together, to wait for 7 seasons of a show that does like 20 to 24 episodes a season over 7 years, at that point you're just like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I don't care. And then to put them together and then take them apart 2 seconds later, so stupid. Anyway, so there's that. We've got Oasis's Wonderwall, which, everybody knows that song. That's not something where you're like, if you're just a 90s kid, you'll get this one. Like, that's still a popular song to this day. And then the big one that really shocked me is the closing credits. Sleater Kinney's Dig Me Out.
Yeah.
Been a big Sleater Kinney fan since the 2000. A girl I was dating at the time was really into like the Riot Girl scene with like Bikini Kill and Sleater Kinney and L7 and all these really cool like punk rock girl bands. Riot Girl. What did I say?
Yeah, you said Riot Girl.
Did I say Riot Girl? Spelled GRRL.
Yeah, girl.
So yeah, I have this record on vinyl actually. Dig Me Out, Call the Doctor, and the Hot Rock, and it was very cool to see Sleater Kinney or hear Sleater Kinney because I don't know how many times I've ever heard Sleater Kinney, and it's kind of wild because nowadays with Carrie being like in like she made Portlandia with Fred Armisen, and she was in Transparent. Sorry, I was like, the word wasn't making sense in my head. I was like, transparent. Yes, she was in that show. She's like an actress now. It's weird. But yeah, if you've never seen Sleater Kinney, Carrie Brownstein or Brownstein or Brownenstein. Stein. She is like one of the more adorable like performers. She dances while she plays guitar, and it's very cute. But the songs are awesome.
Yeah, really good songs.
The End of You is probably my favorite Sleater Kinney song for any Sleater Kinney fans. I have a few.
I really like Jumpers.
Okay.
And Dig Me Out's good though too. I haven't listened to all their discography though, so I don't know all of it yet.
No, but yeah, I've not even listened to every single Sleater Kinney song.
Yeah.
Because they have some new records and whatnot that I just haven't heard them. I know they had one recently, but it was just very cool to hear Sleater Kinney, especially like Dig Me Out, which this is like a girl, like a young girl show.
Yeah.
It very much
has that
fits.
energy.
But you weren't gonna find this was a very niche band at that time.
Yeah,
it's still pretty niche, but it was cool to hear.
Yeah.
Anyway,
cool.
I just had to gush about the fact that Sleater Kinney was in here.
Yeah.
And yeah. And the Ty. We didn't even talk about Ty trying to kill people in the hospital.
We like briefly mentioned that she tries to kill people, but yeah, she goes to the what is it called? The I've never heard that word before, but it's the like I guess just
It's
the
like
area where
hospice
people are,
area
the hospice in the hospital.
Yeah.
And she takes Misty with her and goes into like a room where this guy is dying of some heart failure. And she like has a pillow that she's about to like smother him with, but she ends up just yelling at him because she kind of can't bring herself to do it. And then he starts like he goes into like cardiac arrest or something. So I don't know if that's because
she's like, does that count?
Yeah, that was funny. I don't know if that is because of her. Like I would assume, because he's like unconscious.
No, that does not count.
It doesn't count. But I am assuming that she caused it because she's like yelling at him and he's unconscious.
Yeah.
But like we've kind of known for a while that people that are in comas and unconscious, like they can still have an awareness of what's happening outside of them. So I'm just kind of wondering if her like yelling,
right,
for like
so you're thinking
just triggered his
maybe it
body.
does count.
I don't think it counts. I don't think it counts. But
do you believe that it's supernatural and that it would count anyway?
Yeah. Well, okay. I guess that if we look at it like that, like if them just being there kind of makes him die.
No, I mean, are you of the belief that this is supernatural, and if she was so to have smothered him,
I don't know,
she would save Van?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I feel like I don't feel like I have a solid leaning either way.
Okay.
So I could see, I could see it working and Van kind of making a bit of a recovery and like it not being like a big recovery. So her being like, oh, gotta go kill somebody else. Like his life force wasn't strong enough or something.
So, okay. The way I read that scene is that the good Ty that's in her was pushing back and controlling her hands and fighting it.
Yeah, that is what it looked like.
And that Ty couldn't break through the good one inside of her.
Yeah.
And then she ultimately locks her out of the room.
Yeah, that's what it looked like.
Right? But she goes into Van's room.
Oh, yeah.
So she's not like locking her out of another person's room she's going to kill.
No, she's just like punishing her by being like, now you can't like see Van closely.
It doesn't really make sense to me that bad Ty, who's fully committed, would have struggled to kill this guy. I feel like she would have walked right in, put the pillow over his face, held him down, killed him, been done with it.
Yeah, I think she would have done it.
But her hands look like they're being like held back.
Yeah, it looks like she's kind of like
fighting it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that is what happens. It's interesting. Like I felt like, because we do see, when younger Ty is talking to Van and saying all of that about like, we can never really leave this place. And she walks away, like she looks back and the eyeless man is behind her and she's like doing her evil smile. So I don't think this is the case because I feel like the adult Ty, like I think we see the change, but it would be really crazy if like the shadow dark Ty had been in control like from that moment.
Yeah.
I don't think that's likely what happened because I think that, like in the first season, we clearly see like with the sleepwalking and everything, like I think she comes back then. But it was just kind of a funny thought that I had where I was like, oh man, that'd be kind of wild.
Yeah. I mean, something triggers all of this.
Yeah. I agree ultimately. So,
so last thing, do you think Van will die this season in the hospital? Or like,
I don't know about in the hospital, but I do think she might die. Yes, I think it's very possible that Van will die this season.
Oh, it's very possible.
I don't think that it'll be. I mean, it could be from her illness. Yes. Yes.
You think she's gonna kill herself,
or somebody will kill her, or whatever? Yes.
Or like she thinks Ty is gonna kill someone for her, so she kills herself to prevent it.
Yeah, I could see that happening.
I can see that happening. I feel like that would. Yeah, I
don't know how I feel about that, but I
don't know. I'm definitely leaning somewhat towards Van, like Ty's going to kill someone and she's going to get better.
But then she's gonna
kill herself.
Yeah,
because she's gonna be like, I don't want to live with this, and Ty's gonna be like, I did this for nothing.
Right. Yeah.
Who that would be, if it's gonna be someone we know, like a Walter or somebody who they could kill off. Or even Melissa, or I don't know. I doubt that they would bring in someone like Hilary Swank to just do an episode or two. It's not impossible. I know lots of shows do that kind of shit.
I could actually see that happening. it being Melissa that ends up dying.
Yeah.
By Ty's hand, I could definitely see that. Or Jeff, especially if Ty and Shauna sort of start working together.
Yeah.
I don't know though. Yeah, it's hard to say. We haven't seen a lot of Walter this season in general, so I'm
The
definitely
show's supposed to
curious.
go 5 seasons.
Yeah.
We have Shauna, Melissa, Ty, Van, Misty.
Yeah.
Left.
But we also have potentially, because they obviously thought Melissa was dead.
Akila.
We also have potentially other people.
Some of those random girls that we don't know the names of. And then there's a couple people still alive that have like names we know.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling most of them are going to die.
Yeah.
But yeah, if Van dies,
sure.
Right? If Melissa gets killed by Shauna or something, then we're down to 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really hope Shauna does end up dying. But I know in my heart of hearts,
I don't think
if she dies, it's not happening until the last episode of the last season.
Yeah, I think so. Fortunately,
I think she'll go to jail.
She's a complicated, hateable character.
Yes,
and that's fine. I'm fine with characters being like that. But dang, it's frustrating.
I could see her getting Callie killed and Jeff killing her because of it.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. What do you guys think? Anything more, Bim?
No.
No? Okay. What do you guys think? What are your theories? I say Cody dies next episode by Shauna in some way or another. Whether she's influencing someone to do it, like Melissa, right? Because that's just it. Melissa, she was like, I could still kill him for you. She could talk Melissa into doing it.
Yeah.
Because she wants to like stop this party from going. I would have left their asses instantaneously. Anybody who put their bag down, I don't care how many of them there were, I'd have been like, okay, you guys stay here. And then as soon as you get back, you just tell them where you were and have them send them in.
Yeah.
And they'll retrieve them.
Tell them where you were as best as you can.
You don't got to worry about that. Although when they come back, they'll probably hunt you down and kill you. So maybe you shouldn't tell them where they're at. I don't freaking know.
I don't know.
But I don't know. I'm a 43-year-old man. I'm not really afraid of like 16, 17-year-old soccer players. Female soccer players.
That could be your downfall.
Could be.
Could be.
Yeah, they could come up and hit me in the back of the head.
Yep.
With a
They've been living out there for months and you have not. So just saying.
I can still
They also potentially have some kind of demonic entity that's helping them.
That's true.
So.
But I can physically take any one of the Yellowjackets without question. Anyways, what do you guys think? What are your theories? Let us know. You got any?
No.
Nothing?
Well, I mean, like
you just kind of.
Yeah, I think I talked about. Yeah, everything we said. Those are my theories.
No last minute.
No last minute ones.
Okay. All right, guys. We'll see you in the comments.
Bye.
Bye.